So imagine that you're sitting in your college classroom, right? And you're sitting along with your guy friends, and it's a free period, so no professor is in the classroom. And you're making fun of each other, you're bullying some losers to wicked, and you're making fun of the teachers, you're having good, right? Suddenly, from the corner of your eye, you notice a girl is looking at you. From across the classroom, you could sense her gaze staring upon your soul, and you look back at her, and she's not breaking eye contact, she's not looking away. Like, that's a big sign. Like, she wants you to know that she's looking at you, right? And suddenly you notice your heart starts beating faster because you know that this girl wants to talk to you, but you also know that she won't come up to you to talk to you, right? Because she's a girl, she won't initiate a conversation. So in your mind, you're subconsciously thinking, fuck, I'll have to go up to her and talk to her. Just that mere thought is scaring you. A few seconds go by and you're still looking at her, and now she starts smiling at you. Fuck, bro, that's like the biggest sign. She's so into you. Like, this is the point where if I were in your spot, I would just go up and talk to her and just tell her that I think she's pretty good and just shoot my shot, bro. But you don't do that, do you? You're just sitting there running scenarios in your mind about how you can fuck up, go and talk to the girl that is clearly absolutely 100% into you. And while all this is happening inside your head, a dude walks past you. An absolute chad of someone like me walks past you and slowly, like, slightly brushes against your shoulder just to show domination. And you just stumble, you're just falling all over the place. And he walks straight up to the girl. And without missing a beat, he introduces himself. Without fumbling, he starts to engage her into a conversation, starts asking her questions about her. And within 5 minutes, it's like the girl never looked at you. She doesn't remember that you exist. She doesn't care that you exist. She doesn't even remember that she was ever interested in you. She is now engaged in a very interesting conversation with a stranger that she was not at all interested in. A stranger that is making her laugh, that is flirting with her, and she's flirting back. And now you feel like a loser. And now you're not engaged in the conversation that your friends are having. You're not even engaged in the conversation that the girl that was clearly interested in you is having with a stranger now, with another man. All of this happened because you couldn't make a move. Because you weren't confident enough in yourself. Because you weren't confident that she would like you. Because you weren't confident that you could actually make her like you. This is how the real world is. That is 100% a real example. That has happened to me, by the way. This is how the world works. Especially for young men, you either dominate your competition 100% or you lose. There's no other way around. In this video, I'm going to be telling you exactly how you're going to build confidence, how you're never ever again going to be scared of talking to a girl, of performing in front of an audience, talking to your friends. So if that sounds interesting, keep watching. Okay, so before I get into the steps of actually building confidence, I want to talk about a little bit about what confidence is and why you actually lack confidence, because unless you're aware of the problem itself, you will never be able to solve it, even with my help. So, because building confidence is things that are like more deep rooted in you. It's more than just like a physical solution. Like, I can't just give you like a pill that will make you more confident. Obviously not. This is more like a mindset shift, and this takes time, by the way. So do all the actionable steps that I'm about to tell you, and watch this video towards the very end without skipping any part whatsoever. That is the only way that you're going to be able to utilize this guide completely. Alright, so let's talk about what confidence is. So obviously, before you understand how to build confidence, why you're not confident enough, you need to know what confidence is, right? So confidence is basically not being afraid or being scared to do a particular thing. So to approach a girl, talk to a stranger, or perform in front of an audience or perform on stage. You could be afraid of doing some things that would mean that you lack confidence in a particular area of your life. And it's generally all connected. Like, if you're scared of a girl, talking to a girl, you're scared of also approaching a stranger, you're scared of performing. So confidence is like a broad thing. It's not like you're specifically not confident in that area, right? So unless you've had like a past trauma, in which case it's a bit more psychological, it's a bit more different. So that's not exactly what confidence is, but basically, if I had to explain you in one sentence, that is what I would tell you. Now, You probably already knew that, like, if you're scared of talking to a girl, you would say you're not confident enough to talk to a girl. Obviously, you know that, right? What you do not know is why you're not confident enough, why you lack confidence in a particular area of your life. I'm going to be honest, there could be multiple things, and I'm going to talk to you about every single one of them. So, the most common reason that I have noticed within my friend group, within my family, is that you have had some negative experience with regard to that particular thing in your life. So maybe that was a bit complicated. I'll explain with a personal example. So this is personal example. This is something that has happened to me. Okay. So I've always had performance anxiety. So what I'm doing right now, I've always had anxiety for that. So I've always been scared of performing in front of an audience, in front of a stage, in front of other people. Talking to a camera even was like excruciatingly painful to me. But I was like an outgoing kid. Like my parents would encourage me to get uncomfortable and just do things that I'm not comfortable doing. So I would participate in school activities, and I was slowly building up confidence as a child. So I remember, but I remember this one event that just completely fucked my confidence, and I was never able to perform again in front of an audience. This was when I was in kindergarten. I was in KG, and I took part in some fancy dress competition. I didn't really take part; like my parents enrolled me. I didn't really have a choice. So it was a fancy dress competition. My mother had to make the fancy dress thing for me, and I was performing in front of the entire school on the stage, and I was not afraid because I had done this a couple of times. And I was performing, and suddenly my pants just came off. So I was standing in my underwear in front of my entire school, and I had known them like barely a couple of months maybe. And they were now always after that event, they were always making fun of me. And I had to watch an entire school laugh at me. Like the seniors, the juniors, everybody laughed at me while I was standing there with my pants off. And that was like a very painful experience for me. Since then, my confidence had was only going like lower and lower. Like I stopped interacting with new people. I was not making new friends. My parents were really concerned for me for that. I could not talk to like adult people. I could not interact with them at all. And it was just very bad for my social life. I was building the wrong social habits. And it stayed like that until I decided, no, fuck that. I'm gonna actually build my confidence and become like a high value man. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I build confidence, exactly how I don't feel anxious while talking to a girl, while approaching a stranger, while talking in front of an audience, in front of a stage. But the point of me telling you that, and I have multiple stories like that. Like that was like a big event, but it's not like I just gave up on performing. There were multiple scenarios like that fucked my confidence at multiple places. I had bad experience with a girl. I had a bad experience talking to a stranger. I had a bad experience talking to an adult, and all of these experiences that just stuck in my subconscious mind, and that just fucked my confidence levels. And I had to rewire my brain into actually going out there performing and just being more confident man. I'm going to help you not make all those mistakes. So do this actionable step right now. Oh, and by the way, there can be multiple reasons why you lack confidence. It could be genetic. Maybe you've inherited lack of like low confidence levels from your parents. Maybe both of your parents are introverts and they don't like interacting with people, which is completely fine. But that could hinder with your performance level, because if you don't like interacting with new people, you will not make new friends. And if you don't like interacting with new people, you will avoid performing, in which case you will never build confidence in the first place. Right? So that could be one thing. Another thing could be you could have past trauma. Maybe you've had like a really traumatic bad experience while performing, while talking to a girl, just like I did. So there can be multiple reasons. And I promise you, like the solution is the same, which I'm going to be telling you. But you need to identify what exactly your problem is in order to correctly work towards it. Like if you have had trauma while talking to a girl, then probably not speaking in front of an audience, speaking publicly is not going to help you translate that confidence into like the goal aspect of your life. So be very clear and mindful of what exactly your problem is, where exactly you're lacking, and then aim to perfect that craft. Right. So here is your first actionable step for this video. Figure out your own canon event. So this is like a cute little name I've given to this, to the event that led you to not being confident enough in a particular genre of your life. So maybe just like me, your pants came off in front of an audience and you're just scared of talking in front of the audience anymore. So, and okay, there are some people who are naturally just low on confidence. Like they never really interacted with people. Their parents like to over pamper them and they're like overly sensitive about letting kids meet new people. So they're very selective about letting you introduce yourself to new people, making new friends. And that also leads you to not being confident enough. So it could be your parents' fault. It could be something that you've inherited from them, in which case you can just skip this actionable step. But most likely, and I am very sure that you probably have a Karen event, you probably have a scenario in your mind that is running in your mind right now on loop that you just cannot stop thinking about. It was embarrassing, or it was scary, or it was like absolute failure. Like like you were supposed to read a poem in front of an audience and you just forgot the entire poem. Or you were supposed to do something and you made a fool out of yourself. There must be something that you're right now thinking about that led you to not being confident enough. And I need you to identify that. And after you've identified it, I want you to write it down in the comments below. Writing it down does two things. First, it helps me because it boosts the algorithm. It tells the algorithm that people are commenting, liking the video more. That helps my channel. Okay. Number two, it helps you too because admitting your flaws and admitting like narrating embarrassing stories about yourself also helps you build confidence because it shows that you're not afraid to admit your flaws. I'm not suggesting some cute bullshit like embrace your flaws or some shit like that. No, no, no. Admit your flaws and work towards perfecting you. Okay, do not hold on to your flaws. Your flaws are something that you need to get rid of, not hold on to. That's dumb advice. All right, so comment down below your flaws, your embarrassing canon event, and I will reply to every single one of them. I want to listen to every single one of your fucking embarrassing stories, bro. Because I will be honest, I was like the timid little. I was very timid. I was fat. I was short, and I was always like the kid who got bullied. So I've had like 1,000 embarrassing situations. I've had 1,000 canon events. So I will be able to relate to them and I will not make fun of you too. So this is a safe space. And actually, I'll no promises, bro, because I've had stupid levels of embarrassing situations. So I will make fun of you, bro, because all right. So why do you need confidence? I'm gonna make this very short because you already if you're watching this video you already know that. But basically, if you ever want to have a girlfriend, if you ever want to approach a girl that you just met, if you ever want to be liked by women, if you ever want to perform on stage, if your job or whatever your career choice is, career path is, involves you performing, even if you fucking want to do a 9 to 5 job, you still need confidence to clear out the interview. There are like little cues that they're looking for in you that will give away that you're not as confident, and they won't pick you. So even in order to do like a slave job, in order to do a 9 to 5, you need confidence. And if you want to do something more productive, if you want to be like a active member of the society and help make the world a better place, like I'm trying to do, you still need confidence. Like this, talking to the camera, talking loudly while my family is in the other room, this still takes confidence, bro. So everything that you want to do takes confidence. Now let's talk about the steps of building confidence. There are only really two approaches. They're not even steps. They're like two approaches. There are two ways that you can build confidence. Okay. There's the soft approach and there's the hard approach. The soft approach is basically for people who have tried the hard approach, but they're so extremely low on confidence. They have just fried and fucked their confidence levels so much that whenever they tried the hard approach, they had a panic attack. Like that is who the soft approach is for. The hard approach is for people who have spent a long time being underconfident and are now like finally sick of not being confident enough to talk to strangers, to speak to girls, to talk in front of an audience, etc. All right, so let's talk about the hard approach now. The hard approach is basically you're addressing the elephant in the room. So, for example, if you're afraid of talking to girls, you make it your absolute life mission to talk to just one girl once a day. Eventually, you build that up into talking to two girls a day, and then eventually you start slowly building that up into talking to five girls a day, and then 10 girls a day, 20 girls a day, and slowly you build that up until you're no longer scared of talking to a girl. You're no longer underconfident or you lack confidence while talking to a girl. This is the hard approach. This is going to be extremely painful, and the first time or the first few times you're going to do this, you're going to feel extremely scared. You might sweat, you might be shuddering in fear, but eventually you're going to learn that this is like it's like not that bad. You're just talking to a person. Like they want you. We are social creatures. Like people want to talk. People want to engage in conversations with you, especially if you're like an attractive guy. If you're like a pretty boy, girls want to talk to you, girls, but they won't initiate the conversation because that's like, okay, I'll tell you like a secret. In the girls' space, it's considered desperate and it's very sad if a girl initiates a conversation, if a girl asks a guy out. So never put a girl in a situation where they have to initiate the conversation or lead a conversation or where they will have to ask you out. That's either not gonna happen or it's going to happen and then their friends are gonna talk them out of it. Not a good scenario to be in. I'm talking from experience, by the way. Always do these things. Initiation should also always be done by us. So I'll give you like a personal example. I was extremely scared of talking to girls because I had like a negative experience. I've given you an example already. I've had like a negative experience with a girl as well. I was trying to talk to a girl and some guy came and he just took the girl away and she didn't even hesitate. She didn't even say bye. She just walked away with a guy. And I overheard her say that thank you for saving me. Like she didn't really want to have that conversation with me. She was just being polite. And that led me to believe that I'm not really good at talking to girls. And I was not really good looking at that time either, so probably that was the reason, I don't know. But anyways, that was my canon event for not being able to talk to girls very confidently. And I made it my absolute mission to talk to as many girls as I possibly humanly could while I was in my school days. So I would introduce myself to new girls. I would talk to the girls that I was already introduced to. I would try to make them laugh as often. That is also a good thing that you can do. You can, instead of like, eventually you're gonna run out of girls to talk to. Like you can't really introduce yourself to 20 new girls a day, right? So eventually your goal should be to make them laugh. Then eventually your goal should be to flirt with them. And that's where you build up courage to talk to a girl, to flirt with them, to make them giggle and stuff like that. So I would go up to girls that I already knew, introduce myself to new girls, and talk to them, have conversations, have deep conversations, also make them laugh, flirting with them, do all that stuff. Even the girls that I was not introducing and not like interested in, I would still be flirting with them. And that was like good practice. That really taught me what girls react to better, what girls like better. And that is exactly what I recommend you do as well. Obviously, like, once you've tried and tested the hard method and you cannot absolutely do it, like you're extremely shuddering in pain to not be able to talk to a girl, sure, take the soft approach, talk to girls that you're already friends with, talk to guys, and then slowly like translate that into talking to strangers, talking to new girls, stuff like that. But if you're just very extremely tired and sick of being underconfident, I would recommend do the hard approach because this is going to make you feel an absolute fucking alpha. This is what I did. and I would not recommend anything else to anyone that I actually care about. So unless you absolutely cannot take the high road, cannot take the hard approach, then you can go on to take the soft approach, be a pussy for whatever. But for most of the guys that are watching this video, for specifically you, I would recommend you take the hard approach and actually grow some balls, because that's the only way. Face your fears in order to eliminate your fears. That's what I say. That's what I believe in. So start talking to girls, bro. The soft approach is basically you're indirectly treating your brain to not be scared of a particular scenario or a particular thing that you're not confident in. I'll give you a personal example. I was extremely scared of talking. You know this. I've just told you about it. I was extremely scared of talking in front of an audience or speaking publicly. So I just couldn't speak. I couldn't get myself to participate in like events in school or debates and stuff. I just couldn't get myself to do that. So instead, I opted to do like a do like a lower version of it, like a less less potent but still effective way of doing the same thing. So what you're doing basically is you're desensitizing your mind towards a particular thing or particular scenario that you're scared of. Okay, so you're scared of speaking publicly. I was scared of speaking publicly. So what I did was I opted to answer questions that my teacher asked. Like we were in school, so my teacher would ask questions occasionally. So I would opt to answer questions. That took confidence, like to be able to get. Sometimes I would get answers right. Sometimes I would get them wrong, and that taught confidence because sometimes you're gonna get laughed at. Sometimes you're gonna get praised, and you need to be ready for both scenarios. That's the first thing I did. Started answering and engaging in the class more often. Second, I started to lead conversations in my friend group. So I was like the center of conversation. I was talking to the group as a whole. I was not talking to a single person. That really helped me in talking publicly because these were all my friends. I would get judgment from them, but I wouldn't really give a shit about them, which is odd because you care as humans. We care more about strangers' opinions of ourselves rather than our friends' opinions, which is really, really weird and shouldn't be the case, but it is. You will notice that, and you probably have that when you're in an audience, when you're speaking in front of strangers that you will never meet ever again, you're going to get more scared, more nervous talking in front of them, while you're not going to be as nervous, as scared while you're talking to your friends. So it's really helpful for someone who's extreme. Like if you're like a bitch, probably it's gonna be really helpful for you. Talk to your friend circle, be the center of attention, be the initiator of conversations, hit the conversation in your own direction, do whatever you like. Just be the speaker, right? Have people listen to you. That's the second thing that I did. And eventually I was able to muster up the courage in order to like join class events, and eventually I started participating in sports more often. That also led me to be more confident, and eventually I was able to participate in actual events as well, right? So irrespective of which approach you're going to take, the hard approach or the soft approach, you're going to face some challenges, and I want you to be ready for these challenges, but I'm also going to help you get ready for some of these challenges. So the number one thing, the hardest part that you're going to face is the first interaction that you're going to have, the first challenge that you're going to give yourself. And whether it is talking to a new guy, whether it is introducing yourself to a new stranger, whether it is having like a conversation with a girl that you like, confessing your crush to a girl that you really like, whatever it is, the first interaction is going to be the hardest by far. And what I suggest for this is you use what is called a 3-second rule. A 3-second rule basically says that you don't give yourself more than 3 seconds to approach the person, whoever it is that you're going to approach. So basically, you see a girl and you want to approach her, you find her pretty, or you just see that she's a new girl and you just want to talk to her. You don't give yourself more than 3 seconds to actually talk to her. You say, all right, I like her, I think she's pretty, I think she's pretty interesting, I want to go talk to her, I'm going to go talk to her. And you go 1, 2, 3, and you start walking towards her. Do not think, do not hesitate, Just go up to her and talk to her. It doesn't have to be a big long conversation. You don't have to make her laugh. You don't have to make her giggle. All you have to do is break the ice. That is going to be the most difficult thing. And for starters, like people who are just starting over, it's going to be the most difficult thing. Just breaking the ice. And once the ice is broken, it's going to be smooth sailing after that. Nothing after that is going to be hard or as hard as breaking it is, right? So get the most difficult part done very early on. Don't overthink it. If you're not confident, if like your genre of low confidence is not speaking to girls, right? Or that's something that you not care about right now, which is really fucking weird. But if that is your case, for example, if your canon event is something to do with speaking in front of the audience, right? I would recommend you still take the 3-second rule, but instead you flip it. Like, you don't give yourself more than 3 seconds to think about going up to the stage. Like, you don't think about what's going to happen. You don't think about what's going to be your first line. You just don't let yourself think. Distract yourself, think about other stuff, think about anything you like. Just don't think about that specifically, because when you do that, you're going to hesitate. You're going to get nervous. You're going to stumble. You might fall. You will start shaking. Your heart's going to start pumping because you're going to anticipate the look on thousands of people's eyes if your audience is that big. Like, unless you're speaking in front of your school or your college, you're not going to have an audience that big, right? So what I would recommend is you don't let yourself think for more than 3 seconds. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, I have to do this. Okay, I'm going to fucking nail this. And you're like, 1, 2, 3 and go. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Just give your best performance on the spot. Don't think about it before that. That is the best tip, best advice that I can give you. That is by far the best thing that I've done for myself, is not overthinking something. Because when you overthink, you're only going to think the negative. You're only going to think that I'm going to stutter in front of them. I'm going to forget my lines. You're going to think I'm going to fuck up talking to the girl. I'm going to make it all awkward. Maybe she wouldn't hear me. Maybe she has a boyfriend. You're going to think thousands of things. And all of them are irrelevant. All of them, maybe most of them are false even. You cannot know until you actually go and approach that girl. You cannot know until you actually go up to the stage and perform. Comment down below which approach you're going to take, and God bless you if you're taking the soft approach, bro. Here is your actionable step for the end of this video. If you don't take any other actionable steps, if you didn't learn anything, if you don't understand anything, just do this one actionable step. Do your approaching task. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. You're scared of talking to girls? Go talk to a girl tomorrow. You're scared of performing? Go speak in front of your friends. Go make a fool out of yourself. Go embarrass yourself. If you're scared of talking to strangers, go introduce yourself to a no stranger. Just do the hard work. That's the only way. Face your fears. That's the only way you're not going to be scared anymore. I'm building a community of high value men, or men who want to become high value. If you think you're one of them, subscribe to my channel right now so you can become a part of this community, and so my videos find you more often and I can help you in your own self-improvement journey by videos just like this every Monday and Thursday. I'll see you in the next video.